Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ramadan Mubarak. One day, the wife of Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to complain about him, that he fasts every day and he prays the whole night, every night. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam called upon Abdullah ibn Umar and asked him to explain what he is doing. So he told him, it is true that I'm fasting every day and I'm praying every night, the whole night. So the Prophet ﷺ asked him to reduce the number of days of fasting. It says you could fast 3 days in a month, 13th and the 14th and the 15th of the month. So Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, I could do more. And he kept asking the Prophet ﷺ to allow him to do more until he got to the point where he told him, fast every other day. So Abdullah ibn Umar, he said, I could do more. He said, there's no better than this. This is the fast of Dawood alayhi salam, fasting every other day. So what is interesting is the comment of Abdullah ibn Umar when he reached an old age. It is said that he lived 100 years. And he had probably hundreds of kids over time. He said, I wish I listened to the Prophet ﷺ. Because when you do something, you have to be able to be consistent. You have to be able to do it all the time. And if you are young, you may be able to do something, and that same thing could be difficult for you to do if you are older, and so on. If I do something little, if I'm consistent, it would grow to something big. If I memorize one ayah a day, after a while, I would have memorized a lot of ayat and a lot of surah. But if I memorize a big surah today and then stop, after a while I would only have memorized one surah. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He likes, as it is mentioned in the hadith, that if someone does something, that he would be consistent in doing it, even if it is little, even if it is small. And the other point is that if you are consistent in doing something good, whatever it is, and one day you are prevented from doing it for whatever reason, maybe you are sick, maybe you got into an accident, or something happened, a situation similar to the situation we are in today, the COVID-19, coronavirus, that is preventing us from doing many of the things that we took for granted, praying in the masjid, having iftar in the masjid during Ramadan, praying Taraweeh. Sheikh Mu'taz was mentioning the other day that he prayed Taraweeh for 23 years. He led people in Taraweeh for 23 years. He was crying. He had tears in his eyes that this year he won't be able to lead people in Taraweeh. But if we are prevented from doing any of these things, rest assured that you will get the reward for it, as if you have done it. Imagine if your employer tells you that this month, I don't want you to come to work, I want you to stay home, and I will give you the same salary. Most people would be happy, because usually you have to do the work to be able to get paid for it. But in this case, he's asking you to stay home and get the exact same salary. So why not? And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the most generous. In this case, He would be rewarding people that would have otherwise made a lot of effort to stand every night for Taraweeh for hours during the month of Ramadan, and maybe travel to the masjid every night. And those who lead Taraweeh, they would have to make even more effort. Those who prepare the iftar for people, and so on. Similarly, those who were planning to go for Umrah, for example, in Ramadan. Any good deed that you do in Ramadan is multiplied. If you do a sunnah in Ramadan, it is as if you did a fard. So everything is amplified, everything is multiplied in terms of reward. No human can reward another human the same way as Allah Ta'ala rewards His slaves. So if a person was planning to go for Umrah and he was prevented, he will get the reward for it. And the reward of the Umrah in Ramadan is equivalent to making Hajj. So every good deed in Ramadan is rewarded much more than if it is done outside of Ramadan. And in general, any deed that you have been doing consistently and you are now prevented from doing, you will get the exact same reward because you have been prevented, and Allah knows your intention, that if it weren't for the situation we are in, you would have done that good deed that you were planning to do. And Allah Ta'ala is the most generous. We also have to remember that the Prophet ﷺ, as mentioned by Aisha radiallahu anha, when he had a choice to choose between two matters, he would always choose the easiest of the two, as long as it is not something haram. So we shouldn't make it difficult for ourselves. That's why it is very crucial for us to understand this concept, that if you have the intention to do a good deed and you are prevented from doing it, then you will get the reward as if you have done it. I have witnessed personally many people that are not supposed to fast. For example, I know a person who has diabetes type 1, which means he's insulin dependent. Most of these people are not supposed to fast. And this person in particular, that he used to insist on fasting, and he was being admitted to hospital every other day because he's forcing himself to fast. We didn't understand this concept. We should have gotten trained when we were small to take these permissions that Allah Ta'ala have given us. For example, while traveling, to shorten the salah, while traveling, not to fast. And if you are sick to the point where you are not able to fast, not to fast. We should have trained ourselves to take these permissions so that we get accustomed to doing it and not feel guilty that we are not able, for example, to fast even though we shouldn't be fasting in the first place. Or we are not able to go to the masjid and pray Taraweeh this year, or go for Hajj, or go for Umrah, and so on. Right? So it is very important for us to understand that if you did your best and you know that you could have done this deed if you haven't been prevented from doing it, then you will rest assured and you shouldn't feel bad that you were not able to do it, since you are getting the exact same reward. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.